where MMA and UFC get silly. This is the LaTB Podcast.
Welcome back to LaTB MMA Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Emmanuel, here with the best co-hostess I could hope for, Cheney, and we're getting into some more fights this weekend, and then some more after that. It has been fun to be an MMA fan lately. How have you been, Cheney? So definitely always getting some production value working with all of this. And it's getting a lot better every single time we're on here. And we're going to have a lot of time to practice because, again, I was looking at the registered cards coming up, and we got some stacked all the way to 252 International Fight Week, or 251 pay-per-view, 3 belts, 1 night. Unbelievable. We have tons of shows before that. So, so we're working out all the wrinkles. It's all good. Definitely nothing too big there, but I would need a drink after finding out how many of these unbelievable matchups we've been getting lately. What's one that you've seen that's really piqued your interest other than those main belt ones? Mhm. That is so much fun. I totally agree. I can't wait for that bout. Interesting dynamic. I'm really surprised that Daniel Hooker's talking a lot of stuff in there. I thought he was a pretty mellow, calm down guy, and Poirier is, I would think, one of the few guys that you're just like, all right, man, let's just go compete, because if he's mad at you, he'll break your jaw. Ask them Louisiana boys.
Is that who you have in it going in, as Poirier?
I think I like Poirier in that spot. Just look at what Edson Barboza did at 55 to Hooker.
Yeah. Would you have Poirier against Barboza?
Yeah, probably.
He just seems like he can go hard the whole time. He's going to be able to put on the whole entire time.
Proven it time and time again, yeah.
And the guys
with the gnarly ground game.
And Hooker is kind of he's beating legit dudes. He's kind of one of those guys that's in a lot of early wars in his career.
Totally. He's got highlights. He knocked out the title contender in Dorino Burns with a beautiful knee at 155 pounds, one of his first bouts at that division. So he's definitely got the talent. It's a big step up. City Kickboxing's been on a tear, though, with Volkanovski, Max 2 also being officially confirmed. They're kind of on all cylinders right now, really going at it. So interesting dynamics we're going to have going into all of these weeks coming up. The short notice, Yas Island, not really an island, but they're closing off 10 miles of the perimeter before you can even get to the arena. Did you hear much about that on the island or structure?
It's crazy. It looks like they get their whole own resort to themselves. More than a resort.
Do they have little plastic cubicles that they get to work out in? Did I see that? Is that for reals?
I didn't get to look at any of the details. I just saw how big it was from afar. And I was like, holy moly.
There's like flat benches with an entire plexiglass box around them. So like they can jog in place in a box next to each other in the gym is kind of what I saw. We'll see. I would be claustrophobic. I'd be like, it's a hot box. Like it's going to get too hot. I couldn't do it. No, thank you. I feel like I'd get sick just being in one of those. So
And that is UFC 5-1 will be the first Fight Island fight.
I believe that is correct. I know that they're already talking about travel. They're already planning. They're already getting a lot of existential structures things up and built and ready to go. It's really going to alleviate a lot of these American fighters we've seen fighting for the third time coming onto this fight card already in the last few weeks. And it's because the talent pool is so diminished because of the international travel. So we're going to watch a lot of international fighters definitely getting a chance. All the UK boys, everyone else, Russian, UK, some New Zealanders.
I know, just everybody else getting a shot because America's been taking up them spaces. Or anyone that was lucky enough to get trapped in America during COVID. Because there's been, obviously other fighters from other nations.
There is American fighters that are leaving the States to go over to so they still aren't limited as much as the other ones, I would guess. But still, a narrative that needs to play in this MMA world. I feel like I've heard this argument a bit, and I feel like it definitely has to be taken into occasion that these fighters that are fighting in these 3 and 4 week time frames, there's kind of almost got to be an asterisk to their performances because it's such unique situations where they wouldn't be getting these fights so close to back, but advantageous fights, short notice. It's just, like
at least 40, 50, 60 fighters that have taken fights on less than 14 days notice is pretty insane.
The missing weight has been unbelievable. I know that people like, time frames, a lot longer time frames to get down and weight, but don't sign the contract if it takes you 12 weeks to get to weight. And then you take a 3-week fight. It's like, we'll take it a weight class up, which we're seeing a ton of catchweight fights, but don't come in 0.25 over.
And I love that the UFC is doing the catchweight fights.
Me too.
It's such a good idea. They should just make more of it.
Just put a belt at 60. Next couple guys that fight at 60, put a belt on it.
If we agree on it, they should, and a commission will okay it, then I think it should happen. Give me more. Give me more. Absolutely.
Well, some more this weekend is going to be in UFC Vegas 3. I don't know what the official tag there is, but as we were saying with this asterisk in this post-COVID world, there's a lot of short notice replacements. And I feel like this has happened 2 or 3 weeks in a row now where we'll drop this podcast and fights will fall out and guys will step in and it's like, hey, you got 2 days notice. So how do you feel like can you play for that? Can you prepare for that?
I'm going to be honest. I feel like since these fights have all been happening on short notice, I am losing my grip on the Fight Pick Championship. I am losing my grip. It is not giving me the short notice replacements and the move around of where they're at on the fight card and not being able to really think about the fights happening for a long period of time. And usually we get all the footage of them beforehand or you watch their Instagram leading up to it. None of that. It's just...
Yeah, it's all crammed in.
It's craps.
So it's definitely going to be a winning weekend, I feel like, overall, because we got an actual headliner that seems really fun in Curtis Blaydes, Reza, himself getting in there against Alexander Volkanovski, not Volkov. But either way, it's going to be a hell of a headlining bout here on ESPN. But we always start from the bottom to the top, and it's going to start with a short notice replacement, Max Rufkus. No nickname. So Max in there's coming in against veteran Austin Hubbard at 155 pounds. Ended up watching some tape on this young man who is a perfect 5-0 as a pro fighter. He is a D1 wrestler. I think has some national credentials in there.
For anyone that misses our recap, you can always get those at the Fights of the Round Table. You can find that at anywhere that you follow us, and we do it immediately after the fights with a couple of the other good peeps from the Fight Pick Championship. So I just want people, if they're missing our recap, they can check us out there. And I didn't know if you wanted to have a spot. Is there anything that you would change about your recap that you gave there, sitting on it in the week? or is everything still pretty much the same?
Yeah, I don't think too much changed other than I don't like Jessica Ai that much more. So
yeah, okay, all right. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to remind the people about the fights of the round table. I think it's over there somewhere.
It is definitely a good one to get into if you want to catch all that other stuff. But hitting hard, I feel like it's just week after week. As soon as Sunday hits, Monday hits, I'm like watching tape, getting into this, and I just feels like a hamster wheel in a good way, in the best way, because I'm busy. Those 3 weeks a month, woo, I was itchy. I was itchy for sure. So Max in here is definitely a fun fighter. Fighting at the Titan FC, has multiple submission wins, was a D1 wrestler. Serviceable striking, has a bit of power, is 25 years old. Really liked his ground game. Even saw some of his wrestling matches. You know how I am about them hips. And this young man definitely has them. Really liked his flow on top. I just feel like 8 days, 9 days short notice against an actual veteran in Austin Hubbard, who is 11-4, lost twice in the UFC, but against legitimate prospects in Davi Ramos and Marco Madsen, beating Kyle Propolek. The also LFA standout Hubbard is the just less flashier guy, but much more consistent, as we've been able to just watch him go to decision multiple times. We haven't seen Max in here go into that second and third round in any of these fights. He's really able to get the submission fast with a lot of control, but these are regional guys. UFC's a big step up, and Hubbard's definitely that step up. I want to pick Smack. I want to pick the short notice replacement. I did last week with Adeshev. That didn't work out so much for me, so I'm going to stick with Austin Hubbard in the decision. I'm going to have a little bit of exposure because last week as well, couple weeks, these first fights, 100 points is coming up on DK with them. It's because they're mismatches, because they're always short notice replacements. So that's my takeaway from this spot. What do you think you're going to do here?
I know everything should just tell me stick with what I know, stick with what I know, stick with what I know. But the first fight, I'm going to stay away from this altogether, but I'm going to go with Max. He seems to have a lot of hype behind him. He only has 5 real fights, but Matthew Hubbard really hasn't done anything in the UFC to make me all that excited about him except get submitted. So if you're going against a guy who submits, I can see that you just having trouble the whole time. So I'm only going to go with decision for Volkov, but I'm going to stay away from this altogether.
On DraftKings, you're going to get the short notice replacement as the favorite with 8,400 on DraftKings against Hubbard 7,800. The actual betting line right now for that one is going to be Hubbard is the plus 155 underdog against Max is minus 175. A ton of respect coming in. He is good on the ground and he has good takedowns. Maybe I'm not seeing something here in the tape. I thought he looked really, really good, but none of them were UFC guys. So
I could be totally wrong, but another thing that I'm noticing is the odds makers are 99% of the time wrong about the first fight of the night. It always seems to go the other way, and they always usually have it a huge favorite one way, and then it always goes the other way.
I think the odds, I could see what they opened up at here for that fight. It was actually a minus 110 Hubbard, and the bettors came in and bet it all the way to plus 155. So they opened it as a coin flip of a fight. I could see that's much more comfortable than where it's at right now for me. I don't think I can make a bet on this short notice of a fight, especially being the first one of the night amongst many fun fights here. Anything left on that one at 155?
Nada.
Do you think you're going to actually play it on DraftKings? Sorry about that.
No. I'm in a big fat stay away.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up having a little bit of Max in there for 8-4. He's cheap enough, and he's the one that's more likely to finish out of 2 fighters. I think I'm going to stay away from Hubbard, even though that's my actual pick as far as DraftKings is concerned with the viability there. Hubbard's kind of a decision fighter. Then we move on to 125 pounds, where we have Roxanne Modafferi, Juice's number one girl, coming in with one of the plays of the year against, who's her name? Ashley Brooks. What was her damn name? Misha Barber.
Misha Barber.
So coming in against Lauren Murphy, also a longtime veteran. Lucky Lauren in there is 12-4, coming off of a 2-fight winning streak against Mauro Barella, TKO 10 months ago. And then 4 months ago, beating Andrea Lee in a controversial split decision. The takedowns really played a role in that fight. And that's something she's going to need to rely on here a lot. She has a loss over Sijara Eubanks, only beating Barb Honchank in there as well, losing to Montano for that spot in the Tough House. Murphy's just one of those grinding girls that Eddie Alvarez had a big issue with, I feel like. A lot of ladies didn't like Lauren Murphy in the Tough House because she was kind of our played to her own tune. And either way, this is going to be a rematch.
She was a Trump supporter?
I don't know about that. But she definitely is been training with another fighter that we're going to talk about later in Courtney Casey at the MMA Lab. So they're definitely getting it done in Arizona there. Roxanne Modafferi, what can we say about this happy warrior here? She is 24-16, been a long time underdog in many fights, beating Shevchenko as well. She gave me the eyesight for that Shevchenko loss, or win, by the way. I was like, hey, if Roxanne's doing this, guess what? A blonde fighter can do it too. So
I think Roxanne Modafferi is just that good.
Very good point. Very good point in there. But again, her last biggest win being against Macy Barber 4 months ago, where she tore out her kneecap, but still put it on her in there, losing to Jennifer Maia in a decision, beating Shevchenko. Roxanne Modafferi has definitely never been the best striker. Her takedowns have not been the best, but when she's on the ground, she's a demon. On bottom or on top, she's really throwing a lot more elbows, keeping a much heavier pace. And have you seen any of her Twitter or Instagram photos?
No.
Or
when she's dressed at like Comic-Con shit?
No, just like her flexing.
Oh, no. She's
looking jacked. She got the first fitness instructor she's ever had 3 fights ago, and said she's felt stronger and actually looks like she's learning to throw a punch a bit more at 37 years old. Both ladies are 36 and 37. So I don't know. This is a dirty fight to pick because I feel like Murphy likes to get it to the ground, and Modafferi will give up the takedown to throw elbows from on bottom, which is never a good look. There isn't going to be a crowd here. I got Modafferi decision. I think that even if she's on bottom, she can eventually reverse because she does have some really good knee shields and reversals from on bottom and end up on top and stay there. I got a dirty-ass split. I might not touch with this one with a 10-foot pole because I don't see a finish out of either one. This is a big fat stay away from me. Give me Modafferi. Who do you have?
I actually went back and forth on this. I think this is going to be a dirty grind, and I think that Roxanne will become a heavier favorite toward fight time. I think everyone thinks Lauren Murphy's a walkthrough or something. Granted, she probably didn't win her fight against Andrea Lee. That's
True.
kind of, but
it was close.
Roxanne Modafferi is somebody, whereas Lauren Murphy's plateaued, Roxanne Modafferi still looks like she's getting better every time she goes out there. Not just her body, but her ring IQ is intelligent. She really showed that to me in her last few fights, even on the loss, when she, especially off her back. She doesn't seem to take a ton of damage, where Lauren Murphy has that Nate Diaz soft skin. So I feel like you're saying it's going to be so close of a fight, but Lauren Murphy doesn't wear damage well. And we all know that judges see that blood the entire fight. So I think Lauren Murphy's going to wear a nasty cut from an elbow or something that she takes, maybe inside the clinch. And I also think Roxanne's going to have some good kicks, some good knees up the middle. Lauren Murphy uses those good knees up the middle. I think Roxanne Modafferi is going to have more strength here. And I think they're going to be comparable everywhere. You know the Spider-Man gif?
Yes.
That's kind of what I feel like in this fight. I totally agree with you. I think it's low scoring either way. I think one person gets 45, one gets 65. and it's just on who the winner is, on who gets the points. But I'm going to go with Roxanne. I still think she has something to show us. It's weird. She's the older fighter. That blows me away. That Lauren Murphy's the spring chicken in this fight.
I think we're both seeing it, that the improvements are going more to Modafferi other than Murphy in this spot. She just kind of stayed the same type of fighter where we're actually seeing growth. And on DraftKings, the minus 150 favorite, Modafferi, is going to be 8,500 against Murphy, 7,700 plus 120 underdog. Evil Twin all over Lauren Murphy. He thinks that she's going to get the takedowns and just stay on top for 3 rounds, and it'll still be a boring low score. But he thinks, that's a very viable option, I feel like.
With this setup, it'll be so easy to have Evil Twin on now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't know if cameras are can really track his face all that well. He's so ugly. They tend to just blur a little bit.
He doesn't ever have to turn it on. I know Alpha, too. Alpha can come on the street. It'll be easy with all the guys to pop on now that we're doing it this way. Because even Juice and Grampy back popped on Fights of the Round Table 2 weeks ago. So
definitely opening a lot of doors for ourselves here, putting in the work and figuring it out. Thank you, production.
Production team.
The production crew, getting it done. So, do you have anything left for that last titillating bout we had?
Nada. Titillating.
At 155 pounds, we have a fight of the night contender with Frank Camacho coming in against Matt Steamroller Frivola coming in. And this is one of the fights that I feel like the crowd or lack thereof is going to play the most for me, because I have seen Frivola's number one secret. I've seen the trick of the trade for Frivola, and it's that crowd. It is 50 people that bought the box square that just screamed Steamroller the whole time. And the judges heard that because they're dinguses. But Frivola in here, 8-1-1, getting a majority draw against Venado, coming off a 2-fight winning streak against Turler, last against Pena here in Florida. The Tampa, Florida native is coming out of Gracie, Tampa, training all around here. He's definitely has a high pace, solid boxing, and good wrestling. Solid takedowns as well really help him secure the rounds in the fight. And he's legitimately just one of these tough, grinding guys that's going to stay in your face nonstop. He does get into closer decisions than I think. I don't know. I think he deserves to be in pretty close decisions because it's a grimy fight, but he really makes up for it and makes people look bad, and people don't really take that into account as much. And against Camacho here, the Crank is coming in with a 22-8 record, coming off of a loss to Beneil Dariush via submission 7 months ago. Prior to that, he knocked out Hine, lost to Neal in a horrible knockout, also lost to Drew Dober in decision. The Crank Camacho loves to get in there and bang. Frivola likes to stay in your face, and Camacho will oblige. Camacho's takedown defense is a little suspect in this spot for me. The thing that I don't know if I should be siding so much with is the power of Camacho. I think he just hits a whole lot harder than Frivola, but Frivola's slick enough that he should be able to avoid a lot of those shots. But Frivola does get hit in his fights. He's just fought a lot less guys with a lot less power. And I think Camacho can really lean into a lot of those shots and potentially get it done in the second round. It's more of a puncher's chance, because I do think that Frivola, even on the ground, has an advantage once he gets it there, but Camacho's been able to get up off of takedowns. So I think there's a close one. I don't think the crowd's there for Frivola. I think it's right with a coin flip. I could wake up and switch it over tomorrow. We got to see weigh-ins. I feel like Camacho's a big guy coming out of Guam. I feel like he cuts a little more than Frivola. Looks more the natural weight there, but definitely a fun one. I can't wait to watch this one. Give me that TKO round number 2. Who are you going with in this one?
For Frivola?
No, for Camacho.
For Camacho, okay. I have Frivola decision right now. I just don't like the way Camacho wears damage. I don't think Frivola is necessarily a knockout artist. It's just that you don't have to be to knock out Frank Camacho. I think the takedowns are going to add up here for Frevola, even though Camacho may get back up off of them. I think it's a slow wear of damage, that it's a close fight, that the fight really boils down to maybe 1 or 2 takedowns at the end of 2 different rounds. I think the more damage it might actually be done by Frank. I think he has the power here, hands down. And he really, like you're saying, without the crowd behind Steamroller Frevola, he doesn't really do so much. He kind of is a guy that's like a Mike Perry fighter to me. Like a lot doesn't really happen in there. It seems like a lot of excitement from the crowd, but a ton of punches aren't usually thrown or anything. Yeah, I'm going to go with Frevola decision, just with age, wear and tear in the ring. And I think, isn't his father his coach? Or am I thinking of a different dude?
I think you're right. I think he does have his dad there with him a lot of the times. And so you're liking that narrative of the dad?
I just think the trajectory of him, and, for the dads of MMA, if Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is the, one I think of when I think of an MMA dad.
I think Brown Bear. Brown Bear! Bear!
Oh, yeah. Brown Bear! Come on, Bear! That's a good dad, too. So, yeah, give me a Frevola decision. I'm going to stay away from this fight, too. I think it's low scoring.
Definitely a low scoring one. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the minus 115 even fighter in Frevola, 8,200 against Camacho's minus 115, 8,000 even on DraftKings. I actually am thinking I'm going to play Camacho because if he gets a TKO round number 2, could be a little higher scoring. I think I am going to stay away from Frevola because if he wins, I do see it being a decision out of most options for him. So definitely still going to be a fun one. One I'm looking out for. One I'm almost as excited as much for as at 125 pounds, flyweight division, we got Courtney Kaysen coming in against Port St. Lucy's own Jillian Roberts, the Savage, getting it done out here in Florida, living hard with Dean. Not her, Dean freaking Dean Lister, what's his damn name?
I wish I could watch that reality show. Herb Dean and Gillian Anderson are the odd couple.
So
it's like he's all neat and she's sloppy.
that I'd watch. I would definitely watch that. So the 25-year-old Floridian is 7-4, coming off of a loss to Macy Barber 7 months ago. Prior to that, she rattled off a 2-fight winning streak against Rhoda and Macedo in there. But we've seen that Jillian Roberts is a live by the sword, die by the sword type of a fighter, where she submits you or TKOs you, or she gets submitted or TKO. She doesn't go to decision. Like, when it's time to go, she's ready to go. But in that same vein, she will lock up a rear naked choke in a heartbeat. She will definitely, as her striking has been coming along much, much better. Still a little hesitant when I see her strike, and it really showed up against Macy Barber, who's a much better striker than Casey. But after a few shots, you just kind of see that fight drain out of Jillian Roberts a little bit. And here in this spot, I don't necessarily think that Courtney Casey has enough power to really freak Roberts out enough. But Casey is a solid fighter at 9-7. She's definitely coming off of a win against Barella submission armbar, where it was a highly unlikely bout. Everyone thought it was going to be a decision. She lost to Cavillo and got a win over Angela Hill in a split decision. Courtney Casey is a split decision queen. She likes to keep it standing and throws volume, but she'll miss a lot of that volume. She'll throw in the occasional takedowns, and I think is in that like 40 to 50% average. On the ground, she hasn't shown much of her ground game other than her last submission. Prior to that, they've all been decisions that she's ever been in. But I feel like Robertson has to get it to the ground to have the best advantage, and I don't like her takedowns as much. She does a stipping trip over the knee, and Courtney Casey has shown serviceable takedown defense. I don't have to, but I definitely think that if it stays standing, it's going to be a decision to Casey. If it gets to the ground more than twice in this fight, I think Robertson gets a submission, either a rear naked choke or an arm triangle. I'm going to go with round number 2, I think first round is definitely going to be Casey's, and after that, at second round is pretty much Robertson's chance, and I think Casey takes the third. That's a really weird call. I don't know why. I'm seeing it in my head. That's what I got.
So
who are you picking?
Who did you pick?
Robertson submission, round number 2.
Okay. But if it goes to decision?
If it goes to decision, I think Casey wins it.
I think Casey decision. I think she's a really well-rounded fighter, and unfortunately for Casey, when the division started, when she was fighting, it was against beasts. She was fighting at 115 against people that she shouldn't have been fighting that low anyway with her build. I like Jillian Robertson hasn't really gone against too many great fighters, and Macy Barber walked through her probably by Kiaz. We don't know if that was like one of those early stoppage fights. I just think Courtney Casey's a really well-rounded fighter that isn't super dangerous anywhere. Jillian does have the submission advantage here, but I think Cynthia Cavilla's far more dangerous on the ground. I think Angela Hill's far more dangerous on the feet. These close decisions and things that Casey's doing. And then she got the Barella armbar. The bad thing Casey would do is for her to think she could get a submission on Jillian Anderson. That would be a negatory thing for her to do. I'm going to go with Casey here. It's weird. I like Jillian Anderson. It would be like my heart play to go with the Savage, but I just feel like Courtney Casey is well-rounded. I think this is going to be a boring fight. The first 3 minutes is going to be super exciting. And
I hope not. I hope it's more exciting. But yeah, I definitely see that being a real possibility. You're totally right there.
This is a scary fight card.
This is a very closely contested fight card. We've had a lot more lopsided, especially last week, where we've already seen a -115 in our last bout. Like, these are all super, super close. On DraftKings, you're going to pay for the -140 favorite, Jillian Robertson, $8,300 against Courtney Casey's $7,900 plus 110 underdog. The two avenues I see either fighter getting, I definitely have made my point on that one. That one's definitely going to be a close one. Can't wait to see what happens in the night. Then we move on to is this the headlining preliminary bout? No.
No, I think it's Tisha. No, it's Guida Bobby Green.
Ooh, that one's a fun one.
But 2 fights from now.
Before we get all the way there, we're going to have to talk about Mark Barrialt coming in against Oscar Pijota at 185 pounds. This is definitely a loser leaves town, right? They're both on 3-fight losing streaks. The O's got to go. I don't know if any of them have. Let's see. Pijota has a couple wins in the UFC against Jonathan Wilson and Tim Williams, but last losing to Meerschaert submission. Vera submission doesn't look so bad. And then Siriano, TKO, 6 months ago. Pijota is a Danaher black belt, absolute monster on the ground. In that Meerschaert fight, he was actually winning a lot of those exchanges until he just got hurt to the point of no return. And I feel like Vieira was in the same boat where Vieira's eye was in really bad shape. And Vieira knew that if they stood that fight up, they would have called it because of the swelling. So he had to get that submission really quick. What I really didn't like in that Palele fight is that Siriano is really just a big puncher and isn't necessarily as skilled, but Pichota's chin has just told us everything we need to know, and he just can't eat big shots. Luckily for him in this bout, Barrialt is a decision fighter. He is kill you by 1,000 cuts, put you up against the cage, grind you out, use some dirty boxing in there, use some dirty knees, but really never have that one-hitter-quitter type of power. It's just whether Pichota's chin has recuperated, because it was a pretty devastating knockout when you go back and watch that one against Siriano. But Barrialt, 3-fight losing streak as well. He has not won one at all in the UFC against Andrew Sanchez, Jutko, and Park in a decision 5 months ago. Definitely not that high of volume of output. He's just a grimy guy who will eat every one of your shots and just keep striking and just push you on the fence. To me, he's the type of guy that I'm surprised they've even let around for 3 of these fights, because even though he lost all the other ones, he had to do a lot of anti-wrestling, but he could just never get going. And at 30 years old, at 85, I guess they're a little light in the position. But here, Pejota's way better on the ground if he can get it there. The thing is, he doesn't have the best takedowns, and Barrial actually has good takedown defense. It's just that it's that chin of Pejota. I have decision. I should probably go with Barrial decision, but there's more avenues to finish for Pejota, but there's really one clear line that Barrial does, and that's decision city. Give me Pejota decision, and I think Barrial gets his walking papers. This is an absolute gross one. Absolutely gross. I'm so happy it's not on the Fight Pick Championships, honestly. Who do you have in this one, and why?
You don't think Barrial's ever going to win in the UFC? He'll never have a winning fight in the UFC. I have Barrial decision just because I don't like Pejota's chin so much. But I was like, oh, Barrial's not going to submit him, and he's not going to knock him out. In that case, I love a Polish fighter, and I used to love Pechota. So I'm going to go with Pechota decision. I totally agree with you. I think the loser leaves town on this, regardless.
So this is a slight favorite for Pejota there at 8,600 on DraftKings. So definitely the minus 135 favorite there is coming in against Barrial at 7,600 plus 105. Closely contested bout. We both see decision. I see it being a low score for 8-6. I can't really put Pejota with an average of 51 points anywhere. I don't think he's going to be able to cap that unless he gets a first round submission win, which is an option.
Now for me, this is a main card only fight kind of card, or I'm going to stay away from it altogether. That's what I keep saying every week.
The captain's mode's going to probably end up playing out. Have you been doing well in this captain's mode? We haven't talked about it much, but it's consistent.
I haven't done well anywhere. Yeah. I feel like I haven't really done well anywhere in a few weeks. I had a really great week, and then I just kind of slowly fell off.
Everyone. A lot of really 3 weeks out, most of these guys are having training camps. So you don't know the condition they're in. They can be coming off of a broken hand that they just never went anywhere for because they were already on a break, and absolutely grossness. Another one that's going to be ridiculously close throughout the night is going to be at 115 pounds strawweight. We have Tisha, the tiny tornado, coming in against the Barina Van Buren.
Write this down. Don't stop talking. I'll be right back.
Van Buren is 9-2. She's definitely coming off of a winning streak out of that Invicta scene. She definitely beat Caitlin Curran in a quick submission, rear naked choke. Got it done fast, but we here have always disliked Curran because she just wasn't UFC caliber. But last meeting, Renata Souza in a decision 11 months ago, the big favorite Van Buren, really showed her gas tank issues. After that first round and a half, she really started to slow down a lot. She has a ton of power and has really put that to show early in her career, hurting people with those hands. But definitely the Gilroy native trading out of Ant Dog is coming along. She's definitely not had anywhere close to the level of competition of Tisha Torres, and I'm incredibly surprised that it's this wide. Tisha Torres is coming off of a 4-fight losing streak, but it's against Jessica Andrade's decision, Jędrzejczyk decision, Zhang decision, who's the current champ, Rodriguez, who's a real contender, unanimous decision 10 months ago. She's definitely a 30-year-old, longtime veteran of all of the Invicta, all of that good stuff. We know what we're getting with Tisha Torres. It's going to be kickboxing, serviceable takedown defense, was never going to shoot a takedown in there, turns everything into a kickboxing match, but she did win a lot of split decisions earlier in her career, but now that she's at the top echelon, she just is consistently plateaued. She is going to be the first leg of the couple on for this evening with Raquel Pennington, who's going to fight later on in the evening. So they both had a short training camp. The wife and the couple there has definitely been putting in some work on all the Instagram and stuff. And this is one of those plays that we've seen with the De La Rosas, the Pettises, the Burns brothers. I feel like you got to take one. It's one or the. It's not one or the other. It's both or none. So I feel like this is the same position. And I was thinking Buren as well, but Evil Twin, I feel like, talked me out of this a little bit as well, because again, that 4-fight losing streak is against nothing but title contenders. And Van Buren went to a decision against Souza. Who the hell is Souza? So there's no way she could be a minus 205 favorite. Gotta go out of just respect. Gimme the Tiny Tornado. I think she just points out a fight. The first round is going to be the only close round, and then it's going to be Tisha Torres walking away with a point fight the entire rest of the fight. So give me the big underdog here in Tisha Torres in a decision. Who do you think you're going to end up picking?
I have Tisha Torres decision too. I can't fathom why this number is like this. I think it's completely disrespectful on the part of odds makers on somebody who you can't compare Van Buren to JJ. You can't compare Van Buren to... Yeah, it's like the people that she's gone against. Yeah, like the champion. She's literally 2 of her last 4 losses are against people who've held the belt in the division. So I like Tisha here. I don't think Van Buren's going to have anything that Rocky Pennington doesn't already give Tisha.
The
old one too. So I like your underdog pick. I totally agree for all the same reasons. I think this might be a slow, boring fight where it's maybe mild takedown attempts here and there, come around 2 and 3, but it's just, 2-3 punch combinations. But those 2-3 punches add up over 3 rounds. Leg kicks add up over 3 rounds. And I think that's how Tisha Torres is going to play it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying a lot for Van Buren here at 9,000 even. Minus 250 favorite against Tisha Torres, 7,200 plus 165 underdog. I'm going to actually need to... I don't know if I'm seeing something that other people don't, but Van Buren averages with one fight 81 points. So that's what she got in her last bout. At 9,000, she's not covering that. She has to finish in order to be anywhere close to that in the first round, right? Or have to just outscore Tisha Torres.
Well, it's not going to happen. 20 or 30 of those points are her win. So she's only getting, 50 points a fight.
So it'd be 50 points that she scores roughly, which the average for Tisha Torres is 55 points. I'm going to have 20 to 30% exposure.
Tisha's averaging 55 points, and she hasn't had a win since my grandkids were in elementary school.
I thought your grandfish. That's what you said, right?
My baby grandfish when they were in school. That's so funny.
So
you just got it. It's so stupid.
So anything left with that heater of about?
No, nothing left.
Then we go on to 155 pounds where we have Clay Guida coming in against the Bobby King Green. The Carpenter Guida is 35-19, coming off of a loss to Jim Miller, submission choke 10 months ago. Prior to that, he beat BJ Penn. Nothing to be proud of at this point. Losing De Oliveira, but beating Joe Lozon. Also getting a win over Eric Koch. Clay Guida has always been a perennial UFC caliber fighter where even in his declinedest of days, he's still UFC caliber. He'll still beat a lot of regional guys with just that pace and awkward movement. But I feel like he's been found out at 38 years old. I feel like Clay Guida's number 1 and 2 strengths were pace and chin. And it was because he would just move that head around nonstop. Even if he ate the hit, he would still enter on the takedown and be able to usually complete it there. But we've been seeing him as of late, not able to eat those initial shots. He just gets too rocked. He can't finish the takedown, and he eventually gets hurt and gives up the submission, but it's really set up by those hands. And Bobby Green here is one of these guys who will always absolutely let you down. He also has his hands incredibly low. He will always say you missed every single strike, talk it up in there, and lose the fight instead of actually fighting in there. But in this position, I feel like it's full fade mode on Clay Guida right now. Bobby Green's always had sneaky power. He's always been able to take massive amount of damage as well, and ultra serviceable on the ground. I don't believe he holds any belts, but Bobby Green is more than proven that he is a capable grappler. So I think it's just, again, full fade mode on Guida, and I think it's TKO round number 2. I could even move it up to 1. Bobby Green I don't put up against many other guys on their way up, but Clay Guida is not that at this point in his career. I hope he actually steps away soon. I don't want to see him take too much more damage in there. I love you, Clay Guida. Give me Bobby Green TKO. Who do you have?
Oh, my goodness. I just think the only way Clay Guida seems to lose is if somebody can get him down and keep taking him down. And even guys, even though he's only going against guys in their twilight of their career, and, you know, he lost to Charles Oliveira, and now we've really seen Charles Oliveira since that point be on a mad tear title contender. He's like next level kind of guy. And then he got submitted to Jim Miller, which I think he completely was not expecting. It was a disrespect for a minute of, like, he thought Jim was almost going to stand and bang on the takedown. I don't think Green's going to snatch him up like that. Clay Guida's a scary guy here. If Bobby Green wants to stand and bang with Clay Guida, I think it's bad news for Bobby Green. I think Clay Guida rocks him. I think this is one of those crazy fights. Give me the caveman KO round 2. Ooh. I don't like what Bobby Green's done in the UFC for me, and I don't think Clay Guida has looked that bad. I know what you're saying, where he gets rocked and he does that. I almost think that's his Derek Lewis weird thing. Sometimes he legitimately gets hurt. Yeah, where it's like, oh, I'm so, you know.
Yeah, but he gives up the fight is his issue when he does that. I know. He'll let you down, man. Bobby Green will let a boy down. So don't expect him to be right there fighting with you. He will be in the car like, later, dude. Yeah. Not really. I bet you he'd stand and bang. But I'm just saying, don't put your money in, think it's a sure thing on Bobby Green. But a lot of people are putting their money on Bobby Green here. Decided favorite out of the two guys here. You're going to end up paying for the minus 225 favorite, 9,100 against Clay Guida's plus 175, 7,100. Do you think in your decision play you're going to be playing Clay Guida here?
I don't have a decision. I have a knockout. I'm looking at it, and it's not like Bobby Green's chinny, but the guys that he goes against aren't throwers. Trinaldo has heavy hands. He went to unanimous decision and lost to Trinaldo. Clay Guida doesn't have the output, but I think he has a better gas tank than Trinaldo. Ugh. I don't like any of these fights. They're all so hard to pick. I know it's. Yep. I don't think I've ever picked Clay Guida once in my life.
That's probably a good thing.
I know. Why don't I want to pick Bobby Green here? Trinaldo looked like a slayer in his last fight. I liked Drakkar Klose a year and a half ago on the come up. I can't go all the way. Yeah, go on.
I think I know why. It's because I want to fade both of these guys. Any other option, I would easily fade both of them. But against each other, I'm like, God damn it.
Does Bobby Green not do anything for points?
He's got 62 points on average in multiple fights, as does Clay Guida with 58 points. So they're pretty comparable there.
Did Bobby Green lose this in Brazil to Trinaldo?
I believe that might have happened.
I'm changing to Bobby Green decision.
Ugh, it's definitely the odds are off, I feel like, but maybe not, because I got a TKO, so it's a full fade train. There's a lot of fades on this entire card. I'm getting faded over here. It's unbelievable.
I know. It's so nerve-wracking to even think what's coming up. I can't believe we have to do the Fight Pick Championships on this card.
Right. I'm going to put 10% of Bobby Green, no Clay Guida, by the way, on my DraftKings. Do you think you're going to play any of it on DraftKings that last bout?
I feel sick about it right now. I don't even know.
Rightfully so.
I know. I'm going to stay away from it. I'm going to stay away from the entire prelims on my DraftKings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we definitely get into the business then.
We should drop the business.
Welcome back. And we're on to the main card, better known as the Fight Picks Championships, where you can catch all the fun. We're going for that belt in against MMA Marks, who's putting on the show for us. We've been blabbing about it for a long time here. It really turns up. It's the game within the game. We're going for that belt, and it is definitely made just things a little funner here amongst the community, and it's bumped up, I feel like, all of our streams, so we definitely appreciate everyone on there. But either way, any shout-outs you want to send to those guys who have been killing it lately?
I think Ricky and Buddy from MMA Marks ended up like 1-2 last week. Also, gosh, I think Backlog might have had a good week last week. I don't have him pulled up. I could pull him up on my Discord right now. And
World Whining Federation came in third, I think. The Big E over here.
Oh, see how I totally avoided World Winning Federation?
So it's definitely
okay. I'll give the exact things. So week 23 of the Fight Pick Championship, which anyone curious about how to take part in the Fight Pick Championship next season, it will not be 23 weeks long. But it is first place was MMA Marks and Grampy back with 60 points. Ricky was in second place with 55. World Winning Federation Alpha was in third with 50 points. You sitting in fourth with 40. Juice from Fighting With Myself podcast, 35 points in fifth place. I got sixth place. I only got 25 points. I got one hot 25. Nothing else right. Backlog, never mind. I was giving Backlog shout outs that he shouldn't have gotten. He only got 5 points. And Dar Smokes, I don't know if he turned in his card. I don't know if he got everything wrong or if he didn't turn it in. So, and then real quick for the standings of the FPC Fight Pick Championship. And you guys, you can come over to our Discord and probably join and follow all this stuff over on the MMA Mark server. But Alpha right now has 1,025 points in first place. I like your face on it. I have 1,000 points even, so I'm 25 points behind in second place. Ricky has 905 points in third place. Buddy has 860 points in fourth place. And you have 815 points in fifth place. And that's, well, we won't mention anybody else. You don't get mentioned in this list if you're less than E.
So that's doable. Hot 25 for you. I got to get a couple in a row there, but it's a lot tighter than people think. We are getting in the stretch of things. We're going to end up having a nice belt hanging up somewhere here soon over in the LaTB studios. You better believe that. You better get you some of that.
Ricky's closing in the gap.
He definitely is filling the crevice a little bit there. So good for him.
I know. And if you guys do Twitch, you guys should check out all their streams. And Alpha, I watched him last night eat a ghost pepper.
I caught the replay. It looked like a painful experience. I tell you what.
So you would. I know he said if he sends these ghost peppers over, I told him we'd eat one on the stream.
Oh my!
They're not ghost peppers. They're ghost pepper beef jerky. But for some reason, I feel like that might be worse.
Absolutely.
It seems like your body would process a real pepper quicker than beef jerky.
I don't think my toilet can handle that. I'm just saying I don't have one of those lava toilets installed because that's what's going to happen.
And how he was saying farts of the round butthole for fights of the round table. It would make you fire farts of the round butthole if you eat fire jerky.
Does not sound like a fun time at all.
Okay.
But
yeah.
What is a fun fight or a fun time is definitely the main card. We're going to have the captain's mode here. We haven't profiled it much, but it's definitely going to play a role. Here in the main card, it's going to be 5 bouts, and we're going to end up starting it off with Roosevelt Roberts coming in against Jim Miller. And as we were saying before, earlier on in the night, the full fade train is in full effect, and Jim Miller is on that train. Roosevelt Roberts coming off of 2 hyped fights, being 10-1, last beating Yokolev and Weaver 2 weeks ago in a submission in the second round, their rear naked choke. But Roberts really showing off his striking acumen, always having that ultra nasty guillotine. But don't get it twisted, Jim Miller is a savage on the ground. I've definitely underestimated him before against these bigger, taller guys, thinking he wasn't going to be able to take him down. And he definitely shut up Gonzalez very quickly in the rear naked choke in Florida, last beating Clay Guida, and then last losing to Hot Sauce Holtzman 4 months ago. And I think that's where this line has really come from, because Hot Sauce Holtzman was able to stuff the takedowns for Miller, and then Miller's striking just kind of completely went away after that second round. Starting after that first round, Guida was done into the second, and he gave a good first round showing, but he really proved that if he can't get it to the ground, his striking has really not grown as much as his ground game has at 36 years old. The longtime veteran has an uphill battle here. I think Roosevelt Roberts can keep it striking, and if he does, he should run away with this fight. But if Jim Miller gets a takedown, I don't think that guillotine's good enough to submit Jim Miller. And if Roosevelt Roberts goes for that guillotine and gives up the takedown, Jim Miller will snatch up a rear naked choke in the first round. So I think this one's super volatile. I think it needs to be way closer than it is. I do have Roosevelt Roberts with the TKO in this spot. I do like his hands and what he's doing in there. But I'm going to have exposure as far as DraftKings on both of these guys, because I think Miller's a super live dog here. And if you like him, plus money, this much money, that's a got-to-be play. But I'm going with Roberts. Finished round 2. Who do you picking and why in this one?
I agree with you. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think Jim Miller's a live dog, and I am worried that Roosevelt Roberts is going to play around too much on the ground, and Jim Miller is actually going to be the guy with more strength, even though Roosevelt Roberts has the length. I'm going to give Roosevelt Roberts the decision because I think he ends up on top more, but I think this is a very, very dangerous fight for him, and because it's not a striking battle and you don't have to worry about Jim Miller's hands, I think that's where it gets really that's where Jim Miller is not in any kind of danger, and because he's not in any kind of danger, it makes Jim Miller dangerous. So give me Roberts' decision, but I think this ends up being a battle of inches, where to people that don't know anything about the ground, it looks boring, like they're stuffed and stifled and held spots, but it's going to be like wrist control and small stuff where you're like, he needs to turn to the left, he needs to turn to the right, he needs to step over here. Those little kind of things that only somebody who's actually grappled are going to understand.
Absolutely in there. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the minus 260 favorite, Roosevelt Roberts, 9,200 against Jim Miller, 7,000 even. The plus 200 underdog definitely has got a little bit of life in there, but again, uphill battle for him in that one. Interesting on how that's factored into the fight, into the captain mode that I was trying to bring up earlier. You have a decision for Roberts. So do you think, as far as DraftKings in general, you're going to be playing it on either that captain's mode or anywhere else?
I could see myself playing Roberts on a captain's mode. He's a sneaky little play. I really feel like I haven't figured that captain's mode out yet.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
As far as the captain's mode, I definitely feel like there's other spots for higher finish potential here, even though Roberts is one of those guys on my short end Like he's likely to get a finish, as is Miller, compared to a couple other bouts. So he's someone I'm going to look at, but there's a couple other spots I feel like I'm going to be more. And for 9,200, it's a little bit steep against this big of a veteran. It's going to be minimal exposure, and it's going to go 10 and 10% just because of the price tag for Roberts. But Miller, he's live dogging for 7,000. I might even go in that 20% because if he gets a win, it's going to be a submission. So interesting bout to start off the main card. Then we go into a ultra close bout at 175 pounds with Lyman Good coming in against Belil. Remember the name, Muhammad. The 16-3 fighters coming off of a 2-fight winning streak, last beating Curtis Melender in a decision and Sato in a submission 9 months ago. Prior to that, losing to Jeff Neal in a decision where he was, 30-25 in there. There was multiple 10-8 rounds, showed us that gritty chin of the 31-year-old in there. Rufus, is he a Rufus Sports standout guy? Rufus Sport. But definitely Belil has shown that he can eat a good punch and constantly keep shooting a takedown, put a game plan together, and really showed us a really versatile fighter because his striking has gotten better. He's not really the knockout type of a guy, but he will put that pace on you and get that TKO late in that third round. And stylistically, this is one of the nightmares that Liam Good has to worry about. The former Bellator champion in the UFC has had a mixed record, getting suspended for steroids, coming back, losing to Damian Maia in a submission, beating Rencounter in a TKO 7 months ago, and then last dropping was it a month ago, for testing positive for COVID-19. He was ordered to stay indoors and got better and is now immune.
That was Belil?
No, that was Good.
Good? Oh, I forgot about him. I thought there was somebody. Oh, I thought it was Souza, or maybe both.
Souza did, and he actually just got cleared to start to compete again, I think, a couple days ago. So they're the only ones we know of that have tested positive so far. Other than Heinish's, no, coach, but that was unfounded. So he didn't have it. But just external factors with Good, he was in a training camp, was going to fight, and then it got pulled. And he's one of these guys that 170 pounds, he's jacked. He's 7 foot even, but it's unbelievable that he makes it to 170. I do feel like it affects him. After that first round, Good's output decreases dramatically. His power's still there, but his combinations, everything just slows down a lot. You can really see that muscle take a toll on him. And he's really most viable in that first round where he can really put you out very quickly in here. And against Rencounter, who's willing to be a punching bag, he showed him that it was not a good idea. And Muhammad has that ability of just kind of eating punches and get for the takedown. So I actually have an ultra controversial call. I can't pick it here, but I am going to make a bet on this. And I think that Good actually gets a 10-8 first round. I think he gets a knockdown or two on Muhammad. And then Muhammad gets the next 2 rounds fairly easily with a lot of takedowns and just grinding. So I got a 29-29, but give me majority decision. Belil Muhammad. Remember the name. Remember the bet. I'm going to be putting some money on that draw. You better believe it.
Whew. I also have Belil Muhammad by decision. I think Lyman Good's going to come out with a really rough round and blow his wad in the first round with tons of power, tons of explosion right away in the first 3 and 4 minutes, except Belil Muhammad can take a beating. He can turtle up. He has a good body, so he'll take a lot of shots to the body. He'll eat a lot of shots to his arms, and then he'll turn up the volume for the rest of the fight and take over. So I think it is going to be 29-28 Belil Muhammad decision.
I love it. Super close fight. It is going to be, what's the betting line on this one? We have Belil Muhammad minus 150 favorite against 9,800 against Goods 7,300 plus 120 underdog. in a decision, I don't think I'm going to be playing. This is one of those fights that if there's someone I play DraftKings wise, it's going to be good because he has the more knockout potential. And Muhammad, with a win, average 68 points. I think he barely gets there for 8-9. I just don't see him being able to get that type of money for me. So I think the play as far as DraftKings is going to be good for me. And this is one of those sneaky captain plays that I can see because the volatility and the power of good. I could put him in my captain spot. If he shits the bed, of course, he doesn't win anything. But if he gets a first round KO, I don't think a lot of people are going to have him on there, and he definitely has that ability. And
I just think with the exception of Damian Maia, the people that he's gone against are nowhere near the people that Belal Muhammad has gone against. He's one of those guys that's really built with a nice body that you just want to be like, oh, he should be able to win fights. But he does come out and blow his wad pretty quickly. Absolutely.
In there, do you think you're going to have any exposure to either one of those guys?
I always remember the name Muhammad. I always remember the name. I always put him on my DraftKings.
So 8,900 going that way to that bout. Then we move on to 135 pounds, where we have Raquel Pennington, the other half of that tiny tornado, coming in against Marianne Renault. The school teacher is 43 years old. She's been on break for a little while now because of all the COVID stuff. Coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, the 9-5 fighter is a year removed from losing to Kat Zingano and last losing to Yana Kunitskaya in a decision a year, 3 months ago. And going back and watching those fights, man, was it some rough studying right there, boy. When Marianne Renault can't get the takedown, she definitely lacks in the striking enough that fights just get away from her. On the ground, she is ultra nasty, being a black belt there. Great, just ground control, even off of her back. When women take her down, they really find themselves in there with an octopus. Now, that's the problem with Renault, though, is that ladies already figured out, don't let her take me down, and Kunitskaya is going to get a decision in there because Renault's striking just slows down so much into that third round. The output's just not there. Her clinch game has gotten better, and she has good knees on the inside, but Renault's just losing to lower level. Even Kat Zingano was on her way out a year ago, so definitely losing to the much lower level of competition, where Pennington have been really iffy on lately. She's 10-8 coming off of a loss to Holly Holm in a decision prior to that, beating Irene Aldana split decision, losing to Darren Damian Nunes TKO. Pennington almost lost her leg, came back, has had a wishy-washy UFC run, but it's again been only against like the top 5, top 10 caliber type of fighters, and she has a very basic game plan. Sprawl and brawl. If you try to take her down, she'll get that cow catcher on you. She is really strong with the takedown defense, but she really just likes to stand straight up, and in the clinch, she likes to be pushing you into the fence and just kind of grinding out decisions. The knockouts just haven't been coming for Pennington because she doesn't have that ability of power, but she is definitely tough in there. I don't want to pick this fight because it is so absolutely gross. I do think that Pennington can keep it standing, and for that reason, I got to give her a decision. But this is so disgusting. We have seen Pennington taken down, and she is able to get up multiple times, and that's where I think that's even a saving grace. If Renault gets 1 or 2 takedowns, she'll be so gassed that the rest of the fight will just kind of be a pitter-patter back and forth decision type of a fight. Give me Pennington decision.
I actually am. I know you say it's 1 or none, But Rocky's just not doing it for me lately. I think she'd just go to collect a check, and I don't think her ego's involved as much. It's just like, whatever. I think she sees herself more as the Tiny Tornadoes coach at this point than she does a fighter. Marion Renault is still weirdly hungry, makes for a boring fight, makes for a boring grind. You think Rocky Pennington should be able to beat her. But the way Holly Holm handled her by just holding her up against a cage, that is exactly what I see Marion Renault doing. If Holly Holm can do that, then Marion Renault definitely can. So give me Marion Renault by a very low scoring decision.
Absolutely. The minus 140 favorite, Raquel Pennington, is going to be 8,800 in there against Renault's 7,400 plus 110 underdog. We both see a split decision. We both see a super low scorer here. I definitely am going to have a big fat stay away from this one. Super gross night of fights in some spots. There is some gems in there, but this one is definitely going to be like the main event last week. So.
I want to, before we get into the co-main and main, just since it is the first time we're doing it this way, I feel like we froze on YouTube, and so I want to reset up that stream for it real fast, and then I'm going to make sure this audio is saved, and but you can just stay right there. So just hold on 1 second before we go into that.
Okay.